Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a video on the toys I got yesterday at the Greensboro Toy Fair. So every year there's a toy fair held in Greensboro, and it's got a lot of baseball cards, and it has a lot of toys, both really old antique stuff and newer stuff and everything in between. And every time I go there, I find amazing things I never knew existed, so I just wanted to do a video showing you guys what I got and telling you why. And so there's a lot of, kind of meaningful stuff to me that, kind of fills in gaps from my childhood. Most of the stuff you're looking at right now is stuff that I got at the toy fair, with the exception of these two gentlemen right here. They're part of a display that I'm covering up because I already had a display set up for a review of Carson of Venus meets Warlord of Mars, a comic book that's coming out in a couple weeks. I thought it was coming out this week, but it got pushed back. So like and subscribe for that. That should be a really cool mini-series, and I'll give my thoughts on that first issue when it comes out. So anyway, why don't we get started looking at the different things that I got at Toy Fair. So let's start with this fine-looking gentleman. This is Leech from the Evil Hoard. He is a Masters of the Universe figure, came complete with his crossbow. And so one of my debates has always been, for my entire life, how do I display this guy? Because his face only looks correct if you display him this way, and then you can see all his facial details. But then, of course, you're missing the front with the Hoard symbol, but you can only see his mouth, though that is a prominent thing. So it's always been, kind of a debate for me, like, do you display him this way? Can you get, like, kind of an angle and try to get both the symbol and his face? Anyway, so I got this guy. He was in plastic and was obviously clean, and I was hoping his joints would be tight, and they are. I had a choice between this version and a really cheap version I could have got for $3, but it was dusty, his legs were a little loose and stuff like that. So I decided to splurge a little bit more because this is a toy that I've been wanting to get back in my collection forever. By the way, he does have an action feature. There's a little button on his back, and you press it, and it creates suction. And so while Leech here is draining my life force, I'll say that I owned this figure as a kid. I love the Evil Hoard. I have all the members except for Majibot. And somehow this is the only Masters of the Universe figure that I have any recollection of missing. And he's still stuck on there. He gets a really, really good suction. I could probably do this entire video with Leech stuck to my hand. Anyway, but he was the only toy that I ever lost at a Masters of the Universe, which kind of sucks. So I've been wanting to have him back in my collection for a while and just never got around to it. And, I saw several Leeches there, so I just went ahead and picked him up. He means the world to me. He's one of my favorite members of the Hoard, along with Hordak and Modulok. So very, very glad to add him to my collection. Don't worry, he's okay. He's landed on soft carpet. No Leech monsters were harmed in the making of this video. And I also got this beauty from Masters of the Universe. This is the Battle Realm, and it detaches with the Sky Sled, which I'll show you in a second. But this is a fantastic vehicle from Masters of the Universe. It's used, it was loose, got it in pretty good condition. This side is fantastic looking, looks great. The other side has, kind of a torn sticker right there, but it's okay. I mean, it's one of those things that's really meant to be displayed from the side, and this is a great side to do it on, so I'm good. It comes with a launching missile, which I'll show you in a minute because I'm going to need to show you how far this thing launches. It's pretty amazing. He-Man is on here for illustrative purposes, but they grip this thing pretty good and ride it very well. You just sit them in there and they're perfect. All right, let's see how she launches. Dang! This is back when they knew how to make toys. And the front detaches to become the jet sled. which if you've ever watched a cartoon, you know this is one of the most iconic toys of the 80s. I mean, this was how everyone on Eternia, whether you were a hero or you were a villain, they all flew around on a jet sled. This was, you know, the kind of the car, the motorcycle of Eternia. So this is really amazing. I mean, just seeing He-Man on a jet sled at long last is just really, really amazing. So really, really glad to add this to my collection. I have no idea why I've never done this before, but I'm really glad I did. So, and shifting over to 90s nostalgia, we have the Spectre. And if you have never read John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake's run on the Spectre in the 1990s, it ran for about 60 issues. It is one of the finest comic series ever produced. Beautifully drawn, it's deep and has rich characters, and it's just a really great journey. It's basically about this all-powerful spirit of vengeance that's charged by God himself to understand evil, and it's just a great comic series. I think you need to read it. But anyway, so this is the Spectre, and the character himself actually dates back to the golden age of comics, and this is just a really classic pose where he's floating in the air. The idea here is you're supposed to be able to lay down this cape and have him float like this. And this worked really well when I tested it at Toy Fair. He was just loose, and I just laid him down on the table like this, and it worked. And I'm like, oh, you know, I was like, wow, that's so cool. But unfortunately, when I got it home, this cape is not hard plastic. This cape is kind of, you know, you can bend it a little bit, and his weight will kind of drag him down if you try to pose him for long periods of time. What I do is I basically just prop up the cape against something. I mean, it could just be, you know, a figure's foot or their shoulder is just rubbing up against the cape right here, and that'll be enough to hold him up. It doesn't take much, but he is going to need something to brace him. And also you might notice that the Spectre is not white. He's kind of this weird greenish color. That's because he's glow in the dark, which is very appropriate if you remember that 90s series. It had a lot of glow in the dark covers. And so it's really cool to get a Spectre that is glow in the dark and that has that classic pose. And so I was actually able to find a Tarzan the Epic Adventures figure that I didn't have on a really good price. There was a guy who had all these Tarzan figures, most of which I had, but they were cheaper than what you would get them on eBay. And honestly, if you're looking for stuff like this, I recommend going to toy fairs and toy stores and places like that, because you're going to find them cheaper than you are online. And so this is a Hoard from the Earth's core, and it is really cool. It actually makes sound. It has a computer disc. Now I'm still working on trying to figure out how to get these computer discs to play. They work on like Windows 3.1. I'm still working on that. But the battery in this guy is still working, and he makes sound, and it is awesome. And I'm not going to show it to you right now. I'm going to do a review of this guy in probably a few weeks, and so like and subscribe for that video, and you will get to hear the sound of Hoard the Snake Man. I was also able to snag 4 comics for $1 a piece, and these seemed interesting to me. So this is John Carter the End from Dynamite, and so this is Warlord of Mars, kind of a final the end kind of story, you know, old man John Carter, I guess. The artwork and the cover could be better. I mean, they're not really to my liking, but maybe the story will be good. I'll just have to see when I read it. I never even heard of this series, so it'll be interesting to see what it's like. But what did impress me was this series of Deja Torres. I don't have any issues from it. The cover is great. I love this cover. She looks really badass and just, you know, kind of this really defiant pose, like she's ready to, you know, whoop some butt here. And the artwork on the interior is actually quite good. So I'm looking forward to reading this one and seeing if the story is good. And lastly, but not least, is, yeah, you're not reading that incorrectly. there is a comic for Saber Rider and the Star Sheriff. So this was a anime series back in the 80s, and I had no idea there was a comic. I just saw this and I'm like, cool, let me check it out. The artwork on the interior is gorgeous. It looks like this cover. It's, you know, anime style, and it's really nice looking. I was really surprised because this is, you know, a really small indie company. But I'm looking forward to seeing if this story is any good. I don't remember much about the actual series. I remember the theme song, of course, Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs. But that's about it. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how I feel about the story in this one. So looking forward to reading all those. By the way, would it be useful for anyone if I did reviews of older comics I pick up like that? I'm particularly thinking about the Dynamite, Warlord of Mars stuff. I'm a few years behind, but I'm trying to kind of catch up and see what those series are like. So let me know, you know, what would you guys like to see reviews of that as well. Anyway, so final thing I got is actually 5 figures. I bought a set. And so it is Mazinger Z, which to me is Transor Z. And so let me explain. Transor Z was a series that aired, I believe it was about 1985, that was an English dub of Mazinger Z. And I really, really love that show. That is the granddaddy of all the giant robot versus monster stuff. And honestly, you know, this is where I get my love of that stuff from. You know, Power Rangers, Voltron, you know, I'm going to see Godzilla later today. So all that stuff dates back to me watching Transor Z. And unfortunately, there's like nothing of Transor Z left in existence. Like if I look up a Wikipedia page, I get Mazinger Z. There's not even a Wikipedia page for that American dub series. And it's kind of sad. I don't think it's a malicious thing on anybody's part. I know there are people who hate dubs, but I think, you know, somehow the license just got lost. And it was kind of a weird rollout for this character anyway. For instance, I don't know if there were any figures made of Transor Z, but there were figures that were made years earlier in something called Shogun Warriors that included Mazinger Z. So that's why this is called a Shogun figure. So it was always kind of a weird property the way it was rolled out in America, and I guess unfortunately it just made it so that Transor Z just really didn't make it into history the way it should have. I've got a bootleg of all those episodes coming in the mail because there is no legal way to watch it. It does not exist on any site, does not exist on a DVD. So I don't have any figures representing Transor Z. And I've frustrated over this for many years because unfortunately, unless you're looking for a static 3 3/4 inch figurine or a really terrible looking Mexican toy, they're going to be really expensive. We're talking over $100 for a single figure. So I've always just kind of frustrated, like, how am I going to get something in my collection to represent this series that meant so much to me? I mean, to me, this is, you know, Ultraman, Voltron, Power Rangers, those are your big, like, monster fighting heroes, and Transor Z goes with that. Those are your big ones to me, the ones that I grew up on. And so this is just regular Transor Z or Mazinger Z. And then the rest of the set comes with, let's see, Great Mazinger, which is the sequel series. And then the Monsters, which is one of the things that sold me on this set, because if you can imagine, like $100 just for Transor Z, I mean, like, you're not really going to get monsters here. You know, like, so this was really cool to actually get the monsters as well. So this guy looks really cool. And again, I haven't seen this series in about 30 years, so This one looks really great too. He's got 3 heads. And lastly, my 2-headed friend here. And so these are truly fantastic. They just look like just amazing figures. I love the card backs. I mean, they're just beautiful. The only problem is that they're rare. In true Transor fashion, somehow they only made 1 wave of these and it got cut off or something, I was told. They lost a license or something. And so they are extremely rare and they don't go for under, typically they're over $200 on eBay. The lowest one I saw, I think I saw one maybe for $150, but that was just a rare one-off auction. Most of these auctions sell all 5 as a set, and again over 200. So the seller was willing to give it to me for like $22 a figure for a set. I really don't like paying that much for a 3 3/4 inch figure, but the rarity does make it worth that much. I've certainly paid more for I paid more for that than that for the legendary Megazord 3 3/4 inch Zord Armor figure I got that wasn't distributed in America. I had to pay like $35, I think, for that one. So, you know, it doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter the complexity of the figure. Once it gets rare, you have to pay money for it. It will go up in price, and it's just one of those things. I really struggled with whether to get this set or not, but I kind of went into that convention, that fair, with the idea like, I don't want to leave with regrets. I don't want to like see something that I could have got it and I didn't get it, and I'm like sitting here like years later like, gosh, I wonder if I should have got that. So I went ahead. You know, it was a deal. It was an expensive deal, but I went ahead and got it. Now I'm kind of debating what to do with these. I mean, look at this. The hole isn't even punched for this. I feel like I shouldn't even have these. I'm not even like worthy to own these. So I don't know. Should I keep them mint on card? I mean, when I was buying them, I was thinking like, you know, Transor Z would look really cool with the 3 3/4 inch scale buildings I got from the Godzilla figures from the first American Godzilla movie from, you know, a few years ago. Not the 90s one, but, you know, the one from a few years ago. I thought he would look really cool with those destructible buildings in the background, and I've got like, you know, I've got like a little Godzilla, a little Gamera, and some Samurai Megazords I could pose them with. And then, of course, I've got, you know, all these monsters I could use. I could just set up this really epic 3 3/4 inch display. Or I could keep them in package because they're so rare. I haven't decided. I am kind of frustrating over that as well. Because the thing about this is that these are reaction figures and they are made exactly like old figures would be made. So this is glued to the card back. So you will destroy the card back a little bit when you get this off and it's not going back in there. They want you to feel pain when you open this thing. And they've done a great job of it. So it's something I'll definitely think about. I'm going to be getting that DVD of the series very soon. So I'll just, you know, I'll see how I feel about it. I mean, if I open anything, it would probably be Transor Z and at least one of the monsters. I would just have to see like which one of them speaks to me when I watch the episodes. But, and I think I would definitely keep Great Mazinger mint on card. But we'll just see. But anyway, so that is everything I got at Toy Fair. It's not a lot, but everything I got had a very special purpose and meaning to me. And so hopefully you've enjoyed watching this. And even if you didn't, like and subscribe for more videos. Because I do lots of reviews on like comics and toys and stuff like that. I've got Tarzan the Epic Adventure reviews and American mythology, Edgar Rice Burroughs comic reviews as well coming up. So, like I said, like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Peace.